Season 4 of Invincible has been announced for March of 2026 and has gotten many of us Invincible fans hyped for the return. Within this announcement was also the reveal of both the design and voice actor for the most dangerous threat in the entire verse and grand region of the Viltrum Empire, Thragg. The man leads with unquestionable power and a hairline sharper than anyone could dream of. And in today's video, I'm going to be discussing why you are not ready for Thragg. What's up guys, my name is Vertics, and if you enjoy videos like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I put out quality content like this weekly, you won't want to miss. Before taking his place as Grand Regent, we know he was trained in combat and bred to be the strongest soldier Viltrum has to offer. Every moment of his life was built to be the strongest and to lead his people to conquer the universe. The common comparison is if Broly was embraced by the Saiyans instead of outcasted, and it fits way too well here. During the Viltrumite Civil War, he came out dominating the competition, in which gave him the throne to lead the Viltrum Empire as Grand Regent for thousands of years. Our first glimpses at Thragg come after he ordered his men to attack Telestria, where once not having to worry about Argol's skull is immediately putting in some crazy work. Mark tries attacking him, but fails to even dent the dude, and this is the same Mark that just beat and killed Conquest a second time right before this. Even though we saw his punches were able to make Conquest bleed, and both Anissa and Krieg were shocked to hear that Mark killed Conquest, once his attacks connected with Thragg, all that meant nothing. The dude has no mercy for anyone, even ripping Oliver's arm off and breaking his jaw in the process, all while cracking jokes. Like I said, no mercy. But this is all while he was toying around and in a playful mood, because once Planet Viltrum is destroyed, the guy loses it, immediately ripping Thaddeus' head off while using the split body parts to attack both Nolan and Alan. Both of them would get their own rage boost after this, but would still be no diffed by the Grand Regent, as after blitzing them and pummeling Mark, both Nolan and Battle Beast would step in and still get folded. In fact, Battle Beast, who will come back around later in this video, literally got tossed away and got called a nuisance by Thragg, and this is where Nolan starts to accept his defeat. Mark would ask his father what they can even do, but all Nolan can respond with is, "We can't do anything." They would then proceed to get clobbered by Thragg, and if it was not for the other Viltrumites wanting to preserve their heritage, the series would have ended right here. It's for this very same reason he makes a truce with Mark and Nolan, saying that they could easily destroy this planet and everyone on it. But since humans are a damn near perfect match for hybrids, Thragg wanted to keep them alive, even going so far as to help save them from the Scourge virus. Although the main reason he did this was to protect the Viltrumites, it still goes hand in hand. During this moment, Alan would try to threaten Thragg with the very virus that almost completely wiped out his race, yet Thragg does not back down, saying that he can blitz and rip his head off before the virus takes effect of him. The dude has not only intimidating strength, but an unshakable spirit, ready to destroy anyone who threatens his people's well-being. He honors the truce he made with Mark, as when Oliver infects him, Thragg would put his top doctors on the line to heal Mark, until they analyzed his DNA and found it to be a match with Argol. The moment Thragg hears this, he grabs the scientist by his throat and warns him not to say a word, but this just isn't enough, as in the waking moments of his anger, he snaps and kills the same scientist who discovered the truth. He would then be seconds away from ending the story once more, if not for Dinosaurus stepping in and saving Mark. But while he did rescue Mark, it would not come without himself nearly dying for it. All of his attempts to harm Thragg would only result in damage coming back his way. The crazy part about this is that this is the same Dinosaurus that one-shot Omnipotus, who is a being that once destroyed an entire solar system through a chain reaction, and while he doesn't scale directly to solar system level, to pull this off, you would need to destroy a gigantic planet, or more likely, a star. Yet this same Omnipotus gets one-shot by Dinosaurus, who himself gets no diffed by Thragg. The guy scales far above planetary level. And if it wasn't for the fact the ship Thragg valued would blow up the more Dinosaurus was hurt, both him and Mark would have died right here. Once again, Mark is saved from Thragg due to circumstance, and this will not be his last time doing so. But he is not the one who gets the worst of Thragg's beatings. Because let me just tell you right now, this dude hates Nolan. And from his perspective, I kinda get it. He teamed up with a man that betrayed their race and wiped out almost every single one of them. Then, the two of them, with his son and Space Racer, would destroy his home planet, a place Nolan himself is from. Then, he is expected to let Nolan take his throne after finding out he is Argyl's son after dedicating thousands of years to that very role. Thragg has every right to hate Nolan, and takes his anger out on him immediately after seeing him enjoying his time with Debbie. After explaining what he found and beating the shit out of him, Nolan, once again, was saved by the Viltrumites that once worked under Thragg, and for the very first and only time in the series, Thragg got washed by them after they jumped him. But trust me, that will change as Thragg only gets stronger during the series run, and you'll see why Nolan choosing to exile Thragg was the worst decision he could have made. After being exiled, Thragg would head to planet Thraxa to create half-breeds of his own, and after the Coalition got word of this, they sent Battle Beast to go and kill him, where the two of Battle Beast and Thragg would have the most gruesome and hard-fought battle the series would ever have. I'm hoping the show will do it justice because the pacing of this fight and panel spread were awful. Like, Mark and Eve are going through a storyline where baby Tara gets sick eating Oliver's wife's cooking, and it would just transition to these crazy ass panels and go back to the baby storyline. Like, we didn't just see these guys tearing each other's limbs off. Before their fight even started, they would each be dealt serious injuries when the Ragnar were dropped onto Thragg and Battle Beast. The Ragnar would cut Thragg's chest open, and to make the fight fair, Battle Beast would injure himself with his weapons. And after having their insane back and forth 4-day battle, we would see Thragg finish off Battle Beast right before passing out and being saved by the Thraxans. If it wasn't for them, Thragg would have died right alongside Battle Beast. But the Grand Regent isn't done yet, because once he recovers, he begins training his half-breed soldiers, in which we see him no-diff the same Ragnar that injured him previously and even bit off Conquest's arm. After his army is ready, he would quote-unquote work with Oliver to find the location of Mark, where he humiliated him once more and killed Oliver in the process. Despite there being a 5-year time skip since their last meeting, Mark is still no match for Thragg, as he gets ripped in half and only saved by Eve's powers. He would gain a strength boost from this and get ready to fight Thragg one last time, where we see Thragg charging in by swinging Ragnars around like yo-yos and using them to kill his opponents. He would make his way over to Nolan first, where, for the very first time, he is performing decently well against Thragg, but unfortunately for Nolan, he would get his chest pierced through, and this time, Thragg would make sure not to miss his heart right after, and kills him. With no remorse, he would then take the fight to Mark, where we saw him use his own flesh and blood soldiers as weapons, chucking and swinging them at Mark before being taken into the Sun's core for their final showdown, where we see them tank solar flares and fight each other off simultaneously. And if not for the plot, Mark would have lost, as it took Robot covering him with one of his suits to withstand force from Thragg's attacks, and the overwhelming heat of the sun, along with Alan swooping in at the end of the fight to make sure he didn't die alongside Thragg. We saw that while Mark was wearing Robot's suit, Thragg was taking dips in the sun's core and dealing with all nonsensical help Mark was getting before succumbing to the heat of fighting within the sun for so long. It took everything they can to take this guy out. His own army even turned against him, and I don't think Mark was stronger than Thragg until he became the Emperor of the Viltrumites. Even before they fought, Thragg already had taken damage from his fight with Nolan, and while Mark was getting into fights with Thragg's soldiers, we can all agree that fighting Nolan is taking way more out of you than the same soldiers that were being used as weapons. It took plot, betrayal, and pure luck for Mark to beat Thragg and not die alongside him. The guy rules with an iron fist, talking to a skull all day. If you do not obey the rules he sets, you will cease to exist. It doesn't matter how you feel about it, nor can you do anything about it. His word is final, and for thousands of years, the man defined and reshaped many worlds within the universe, and there was nothing they could do to prevent this. Grand Regent Thragg is the man you never want your favorite characters fighting against, because neither them nor you are ready for Thragg. Well, that's it for you guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and leave a like. It really helps with the algorithm, and it is very appreciated. As always, shout out to the boy Tiberius for the thumbnail. He makes quality thumbnails for me all the time, and if you would like some of your own, hit him up on Twitter, link in the description, as well as my Twitter, @Vertics_, for more of my takes. And without further ado, you guys can get out of here.